Hello everybody, you're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host Dane Cobain. This is the weekly radio show where we chat about the local arts news. We have a different guest on each week. We head over to the Rhylight Zone for a short story and or some poetry. We catch up with Twangling Jack Ford over in the Ilk Shed for a weekly album review, and we play local, unsigned and or independent music. As always, you can find us on Facebook. If you search for The Art Show on Wickham Sound, you should be able to find us. We are repeated on Wickham Sound on Monday nights, or on the Wickham Sound Listen Again, iTunes, Spotify and wherever else you get your podcasts. Please do leave a short review on your podcast platform of choice, it all helps. You can also email me here at the studio if you would like to. My email address is dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. That's dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. I'm particularly keen to hear from people who would like to be a guest on the show. So this week we are having a highlight show. Before we do that, we're going to have previous guest Say Kevi with her short story, Death of the Author.
Gertrude climbed onto the base of the bed and got into position while Wilhelmina replied, "I already told you, I won't waste my time on that vile woman." "Oh yeah, like that, babe." The last bit obviously being directed toward her other visitor. I was going to have a hard time getting through to Willie like this, while she was so distracted. But I persevered. I know we have different feelings about her, but she's still a victim who deserves justice. Please, is there anything I could say to persuade you? I had an idea. A new approach. "Wilhelmina, wouldn't you want to find out who did this, so you could thank them?" Willie gasped, from surprise or from pleasure. But either way, I got through to her. Between moans, she said, "Oh, Patrick, that's brilliant. I want to shake their hand." "So you'll do it?" "Yes, Pat. Now please, shut up and let yourself out. We'll begin work in the morning." Triumphantly, I left the two of them to their business and began to prepare the evidence. Soon, we would discover who killed J.K. Rowling. There. I hoped you loved reading all that as much as I did writing it. By which I mean not at all. When I got to Wilhelmina's apartment the next morning, she was watching the news. There was another mass shooting at a gay bar in Nevada. The victims were primarily transgender women and drag queens, and the shooter was filmed saying, "This is what you get for killing J.K. Rowling," before shooting himself. After the news segment, Willie turned off the TV, and I began recounting the evidence. She was found by her maid around 9 in the morning. The maid entered Rowling's bedroom to make the bed and tidy up, and discovered her dead in her bed. Her throat was slit. The murder weapon, an old-fashioned gentleman's shaving razor, was found beside the bed, directly below the victim's hand, which was hanging over the side. Despite no signs that the victim was sexually active prior to her death, the crime scene was scattered with. The horror novel Manhunt was found on the Vic's private regions, open to a page with a highlighted portion which read, "Have the new girls heard what happened to the Harry Potter lady?" As I recited the evidence to Wilhelmina, I watched a grimace appear on her face. With a scowl, I reminded her to get serious. She sat a moment, pondering the evidence, then asked, "Do they know who was?" The forensics aren't back on the identification, but the lab has identified at least 4 unique DNA samples. The lab is also studying the single set of prints found on the murder weapon, which, while they've yet to be identified, are said to appear large and manly. "Is that so?" Wilhelmina trailed off, lost in thought. Eventually, she probed, "Do the police have any theories?" Based on the evidence, authorities currently suspect some transgender terrorist, but so far have not identified them. Willie burst out laughing, and continued laughing till she had to catch her breath. This time, even my scorn couldn't wipe the smugness off her face. When her breathing was steady, she spoke. "There is no way this was done by a trans terrorist, if there even is such a thing." Well, trans people have doxed her before. They absolutely did not. J.K. Rowling lived in a castle, and its location is public knowledge. I'm pretty sure it's even on Wikipedia. Sharing the castle's address is not doxing, because that information was never private to begin with. And those trans terrorists who you suggest doxed her did nothing but take a photograph in front of the property. That is in no way an act of terrorism. No, this crime was not committed by a trans person, but someone certainly wanted us to believe it was. What do you mean? Over the past several years, Wilhelmina began, J.K. Rowling has used her enormous public platform to promote misinformation and spread hate about transgender people. She sees trans women as perverted men attempting to infiltrate women's spaces, and trans men as confused or brainwashed lesbians. Despite once claiming she would march alongside trans people, on the very day of a trans march in Britain, J.K. was instead found dining with members of a trans hate group. Rowling even published a manifesto about trans people being a danger to women's rights. Without a doubt, that woman hates transgender people. Of course, her opinion is not a very popular one. What better way to get people to your side than becoming a martyr? She killed herself and arranged the scene to look like a trans person did it, with the goal of turning the rest of the world against us. That is a huge claim, Willie. Do you have anything to support your theory? Well, first, she paused a moment, reflecting on the evidence. It was found all over the room. I don't know about all trans women, but for a lot of us, we can barely produce a trickle anymore, let alone shoot ropes in every direction. On top of that, you said the samples contain DNA from multiple sources. What's more likely, a militia of trannies all over J.K. Rowling's bedroom, or a millionaire bigot using her resources to collect some and scatter it around? Then there's the old-fashioned razor, specifically referred to as a gentleman's razor. I can't tell you a single person, trans or cis, who still shaves using that kind of blade, but the image does evoke a certain kind of man, which is what Rowling perceives trans women to be. Finally, the book left on her crotch. Manhunt is an incredible and controversial novel about several trans people during a gender-based apocalypse. The author, a trans woman fed up with Rowling's wrote a cathartic couple of pages where J.K. Rowling dies. Not at the hands of trans people, but when her castle collapses and catches fire. It's an innocent enough scene, but the turf queen and her subjects ran with it, acting like Manhunt was a threat on Rowling's life. That's stupid. It's fiction. There is a history of fictional novels containing characters who were real living people. But now Manhunt is treated like a symbol for transphobic women to rise up against, proof of our collective wickedness. If a trans woman did intend to kill J.K. Rowling, she would have plenty of motive outside of some book. There would be no reason for it to be there. But for J.K. to place it just so, it was a message that trans people are killers. It was a warning to her followers intended to incite violence against trans people under a phony kill or be killed justification. And it worked. Just this morning, there was a mass shooting targeting trans women in the name of that. J.K. Rowling killed herself and used her misconceptions about trans women to frame us for her death. What we've uncovered today will save lives. If you hadn't forced me to find the truth, these attacks would likely continue. Thank you, Patrick, for loving that dead bitch so much. Without you and me, they may have never figured out the truth. Trans women aren't dangerous. Transphobic bigots are. Wilhelmina went directly to the media with what she'd deduced. The police have listened to her interpretation of the evidence and believe it is correct. They are no longer searching for some unknown trans person. While the TERFs will continue to be hateful and will more than likely refuse to believe the truth about Rowling's suicide, at least the more reasonable cisgender people among us will know what really happened, and will not tolerate TERF's weaponization of her death. Where was I while Wilhelmina spoke to the news outlets? Well, I went back to my apartment and paced. This author I had idolized my entire life killed herself in a final act of hate, and I was too stubbornly loyal to her to see the kind of person she really was. With those rose-colored glasses lifted from my perception, I was stuck wallowing in this uncomfortable feeling that wouldn't leave the pit of my stomach. In the end, there was only one thing that got rid of it. I took my Harry Potter books off the shelves and threw them in the garbage.
Big thank you to Say Kevy for the second part of the death of the author, this week's entry into the Rhylight Zone. You're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host Dane Cobain, and this is Rob Full Stop with Older.
Problems, I promise you there one stuck in the middle of your indecisions. So try to make the world see through your eyes. You're right. It's not getting older, it's growing up that causes the problems, and your dreams they die when you decide to run. It's not getting older, it's growing up that causes the problems, and your dreams they die when you decide to run. Trying to solve the problems you reprise. To your surprise, there is nothing wiser than to let go and start. Not getting older, it's growing up. That causes the problems, and your dreams they die when you decide to run.
shines and the rain is falling down. When the sun shines and the rain is falling, my name 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 falling me.
That was Get On Your Boots by Jazz Dillon, produced by Henny Envy. Before that, we had Older by Rob Full Stop. You're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain. And this week, we have a highlight show. So here is a highlight of our chat with local musician, Justine Hart.
You know, how important
yeah,
would you say
definitely.
community is to what you guys do as, you know, as a drumming group?
Oh, massive. I would say it's, for some people, the community side is even more than the drumming. So people have come drumming because maybe they're stressed, maybe they want to socialize, and what keeps them coming, it is the drumming, but it is the social life. And if you scratch the surface and get into drumming and find out what else there is going on, there is so much. People have no idea how many different activities there are. There are so many weekend workshops going on all over the country, all over the world. There are people who are really into West African djembe and dundun drumming, and their whole social life evolves around that. And I know so many people, including people who come to my group. My own social life has evolved, and so my group is they're my students, but some of them, especially those who have been drumming with me a long time, maybe 20 years, they're really close friends. I've been to their weddings, or maybe even encouraged them to meet each other and get married through drumming. So it's definitely yes, it's the social side is a massive part of doing this activity. Not for everybody. Some people just do it for the music. They don't do it for that reason. But I think more people get so much from the social side of it.
Yeah, cool. And so you mentioned the drumming group turned 25 this September. What do you think has contributed the most to its longevity?
I think partly it's the people that have been coming. So I've just been very lucky. Jed, who I was talking about, we're not together anymore, but all this time we've always stayed drumming together. So I think having people like Jed, other people in my group who are really key players. For example, there's a man called Barry Nielsen, and he is an amazing drummer. He specializes in the dunduns, which are the bass drums, and I'm so lucky to have him. His experience, his expertise, his skills, and just always turning up every week and always being there. That really helps to have somebody like that in the group. And there are others in the group. There's another drummer who plays that type of drum as well, called Steve. There's also another drummer called Malcolm. So those people, I've just been lucky to have those people around me. And that's definitely helped, because when people come along, if the group's got really solid core of people, then that keeps it going. That definitely keeps it going. I think I could also probably say from myself, it's just me doing it. You know, even when times have been tough or the class maybe isn't that well attended, it's the continuity, just keeping doing it, not stopping. Obviously I had to stop during COVID, but even then I did some Zoom classes and resumed it as soon as I could, and we went back with masks and playing outside and big gaps and all of that to keep the class going.
That was a highlight of our chat with Justine Hart, and here we are in conversation with counsellor Annie Baughan.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask about next. So can you introduce it to us? So it's the Books and Bells calendar.
Absolutely.
Who came up with the name? Who came up with the name actually as well?
I think it was Juliet Hamilton, who a lot of people know as the tired dressmaker, or the lady that used to run Kiss Me Quick Kitsch on Victoria Street, on Queen Victoria Road, sorry. She is amazing. And basically there was a conversation in the pub, as a lot of our projects seem to start with conversations in pubs, about raising money for breast cancer, because the group of friends who have put this together, we have all had experience of either going through treatment, losing people very close to us, having a scare, and we thought, well, what can we do? And Rachel and Juliet had been thinking about the fantastic Women's Institute calendar, and that was done about 20 years ago. So we thought, well, let's do one ourselves. And we had some different ideas for the names, and I don't know if I can say all of them on the radio, so I won't. But Bucks and Bells seem to kind of roll off the tongue nicely. And so we got Mark to do the photography, who's a brilliant photographer and a lovely guy. Andy and Dave to also help with videoing. Again, some brilliant venues. So we took some photos in the Arts Centre and outside in the garden. We took some in the front room. I can't remember where else we took them. But yeah, a group of women just getting together and just doing something. We had great fun. And if it raises money, we're just about breaking even now, but obviously we want to sell as many as possible. They're beautiful calendars. They're actually about 15 months, so you get 15 months of Bucks and Bells on your wall for £15, and you can get them via a QR code, or the front room Ruby Moon had some. We're going to be selling them at our launch on the 12th, if this does go out before the 12th, which is at the Mad Squirrel. But also we'll have some at Light Switch On. So the 18th of November, it's a Saturday this year, is the Light Switch On for the Christmas lights, which will be good fun. So we're going to have a stall in the high street, or wherever we're put. Actually, I haven't seen the map yet, but we'll have a stall with selling our calendars. We obviously won't be topless because it'd be far too cold, but we'll it'd be great fun. We had such a ball doing it, and we're hoping to carry on next year with either Carry On High Wycombe, or we'll do bottoms for bowel cancer. So it's something I would love to do, something every year, so we kind of establish a calendar every year, because people have worked so hard. We all had to kind of think about what we did, think about why we were doing it, which was very moving actually. We have a YouTube channel that Dave Payne put together for us. We've nicknamed it the Boob Tube channel, but if you go into YouTube and you Google go onto YouTube and type in Bucks and Bells, you'll get our stories, our individual stories, and some beautiful video footage of us kind of putting the day together. I mean, so many lovely people. It was a really lovely group of friends who just came together and have put something on amazingly. But particularly Juliet and Rachel have worked so hard on it. It's been amazing, absolutely amazing. It's been a privilege to be involved with. And, all I had to do was really take my top off. So it's not something, I mean, it wasn't the most comfortable thing in my life, but I've known Mark for some time. He's a brilliant photographer. It was done very subtly, so those of us who did feel a bit awkward about it, it was very, very nicely done.
That was a highlight of our chat with councillor Annie Baughan, and here is part of our chat with local writer Marianne Leonard.
Always in the back of your head when you're a freelancer is, when it could all go wrong tomorrow. It could all go to pot, but that could happen in any job. But for some reason, that sense is just far more pronounced when you're freelance. That sense of risk is always kind of like sitting on your shoulder, that it could all go horribly wrong, and all of your clients will suddenly wake up in the morning and go, "Hey, I hate them," and just ditch you. And that hasn't happened so far, and it's been a few years now. So, but that's a scary thing. And if you're crap at money management, that can be, get a good accountant. Basically, I've got the most phenomenal accountant, and I couldn't live without her, because I can barely add up. Benefits wise, I mean, like, I can just walk out my front door whenever I fancy it. I don't have to, I mean, like I've worked in office agency, whatever. Getting up and walking out the door takes a lot of explanation. There's always someone that you have to be going, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm going, here's my timesheet. I think the first 2 weeks of freelancing were just the most liberating couple of weeks of my life, where I woke up every morning and I didn't have Slack pinging at me relentlessly, and I didn't have WhatsApp pinging at me relentlessly, and I didn't have to do a timesheet. Just phenomenal. And I could just get up and walk out the front door and do whatever the hell I wanted with my day, as long as I got my clients' work done. They didn't care. God, it's beautiful. It's a lovely feeling. I mean, it wears off. Like that novelty wears off, as you know, but that first couple of weeks, God, it was like warm sunshine every day.
I suppose that's almost the benefit and the drawback, is that you've got all of this freedom, which is great to begin with, and then after a while it's like, oh my God, I've got all this freedom, I'm actually responsible for using my time wisely. I can just get up and just go out, I can stay in bed all day, I don't have to work today if I don't want to, but I probably should work because at some point I've got to pay the bills, so you have to hold yourself accountable as well.
You do, but like, not wanting to harp on about the fact that I'm neurodivergent, but you also have to like honor your kind of your energy needs and your sensory needs and all of these things as well, just to keep you on a level. Because what I didn't know before I was diagnosed was that periodically I would burn out. So every few years I would, not even every few years, probably about every year, every 18 months, I would get sick, like phenomenally sick, like having to take several weeks off work sick. Really, really poorly, because my immune system got compromised. And and this is why, during COVID, like autistic people were first in queue for the vaccine and all that kind of stuff, because we are kind of sort of immunocompromised. It hits us hard. Stress hits us hard, burnout hits us hard, it knocks our immune system, then we're liable to get anything and everything. And was when I kind of went freelance and realized that actually it's very likely that I was autistic. It became part of my life to kind of look after myself, to be able to stop myself getting those episodes of burnout, to stop myself getting sick, take time to rest, take myself out of like highly stressful environments, pick and choose my clients. I mean, you'll know this. You get very quickly attuned to the red flags. It's like, this client is not going to be good to work with. This is not going to be good for my mental health. And just being able to say no. So freelancing in that respect has been like an absolute revelation in terms of kind of my physical and my mental health. It's, highly recommended in that respect.
That was a highlight of our chat with Marie and Leonard. You're listening to The Archer on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain, and this is Hounds of Magic with Astute Intuition.
Got astute intuition guiding her life, been developing it since the age of 5. She's low on the radar and high in the sky, won't allow life to pass her by. Her mother looks back at her boring past, staring through the bottom of an empty glass. There's not many people who know she bared her charms for a penny a time at the back of the class. Oh, what can it mean? It's in every little thing that you see. Turn around, touch the ground, 99, 100. Flip a coin, watch it fall, 99, 100. Make a move, stop figuring. Yes, you may lose everything, 'cause I get the impression when I look at you, you're going right. Now the way those girls play is a beautiful thing. Mother on guitar and her kick and sing. They packed up their jobs to pursue a dream, performing the songs of Led Zeppelin. Oh, what can it mean? going right. I get the impression when I look at you, you're going right.
That was Astute Intuition by Hounds of Magic. You're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain, and it's time for us to jump straight back into this week's highlight show. So this is part of our chat with author Beth Beamish. And so you've been teaching creative writing. Who do you teach?
Yeah, I work for the School for Young Writers. I've been doing that for the past 6 years. And we have children aged 7 to 19 who enjoy creative writing. So, you know, most kids go and do sport on a Saturday morning. They come and write poetry and they absolutely love it. So we have Saturday morning classes. We also do holiday workshops. And I go into schools and teach workshops in schools as well. And honestly, I'm blown away constantly by the creativity of these kids. They do really well in little competitions that we have in New Zealand. And we've got some very, very talented students. It's a real joy to teach them.
Awesome. Cool. And, you know, a couple of the things I wanted to cover with you. I know you write under a pen name. What's behind the decision for that pen name, and where does the pen name come from?
Yeah, I just felt I'd actually just watched that movie about Christopher Robin about the same time I was doing my book, and his life was ruined because his dad put his name in the book, you know, Christopher Robin. I remember he apparently went to boarding school and kids used to love to push him down the stairs and say, oh, Christopher Robin's coming upstairs, and they'd push him down again. So I really didn't want to damage my son by putting his name in a book. And also dyslexia actually gives you a lot of shame and embarrassment anyway, and I didn't want to add to that. So I changed my son's name, and then I thought, well, if I've changed his name, I'll have to change my name. So my middle name's Elizabeth, so I became Beth, and we actually got married at a place called Beamish Open Air Museum in the northeast of England. So I became Beth Beamish, and it was a big issue when the book came out because he was 15 at the time. It's not such a problem now, but I did want to just give him that protection, really.
That was part of our chat with author Beth Beamish, and here is part of our chat with local author and musician Tom Schwarz.
Yeah, well, and that's another classic, you know, professional author kind of thing. I mean, my first probably 4 books, just they're never going to get properly published. You know, they're beyond rescue. I've like looked back at them and I'm like, yeah, I thought that was good at the time, but looking at it now, it's like I can't even edit this. I'd have to rewrite the entire thing. You know.
Yeah, precisely.
But
and
is there anything you learned from that process of writing that first book that influenced this one?
Yes, I think sometimes you would use an analogy or something that is so tied in with the times that within 5 years it's going to get. I remember talking about driving through Ghana and saying, you know, you could get it, you know, it's just like a video game, and if you paid £5 extra, you could get it on a CD.
Yeah.
Well, that analogy doesn't work in 2023. You know, it's so dated in that way. I think some of my attitudes have changed as well. And I've actually learned, and some things that I might have laughed at and seen as almost negative, I can actually see a more positive now. So in a sense, because it's autobiographical, even though I'm changing names and things, I'd be less comfortable with it now. I mean, I don't mind if my friends read it, but I don't think I would want to put my name on it in 2023.
Well, and the other thing, again, this goes back to what you were saying about the different lenses that people look out at life through, is in that the lens that we each individually have, that changes as well over time and through the people we meet and all of that. Cool.
Yeah, go on.
I wanted to ask you because obviously with the title Dalek Christianity, I have to ask you who is the best Doctor and why?
Oh gosh. I mean, I do like most of them, but I must admit, I really got back into it with my kids. So with the new Doctors, but I was disappointed that Christopher Eccleston only did one series. Maybe it's because although I've lost my northern accent, I'm basically brought up in Bury. There you see. But on the other hand, I think David Tennant is probably the best all-round Doctor, and that craziness of I've got a plan, but I haven't got a plan. I think he pulled off better than anyone else. But I suppose, but I'm not. Again, I'm very. I don't really have a strong opinion. I know some people didn't like Peter Capaldi, but I thought he brought back a sternness, and he actually looked like some of the old Doctors. I mean, I'm old enough to remember. We didn't have a TV at home, but I used to go around to a friend's house in like 1964 and hide behind the sofa at this little black and white picture, you know.
That was a highlight of our chat with local musician Tom Schwarz, and here we are in conversation with another local musician, Squidfacegirl.
So, and we talked a little bit about mental health earlier, and one of the questions I quite like to ask, especially musicians who have dealt with mental health issues, how important do you think music, and particularly live music, is to people's mental health?
It's very important, Dane. For me, I can only speak from a personal point of view, and say that I have my recording equipment out the back in the garage, and I spend several hours an evening out there making beats or singing or just listening. And the pride I get filled with if I listen to my back catalogue sounds a bit egotistic, but it really lifts me to think if I'm in a low place and I listen to one of the songs that I've done or a video of a performance I did, it makes me feel more worthwhile, if that makes sense.
It's that feeling of accomplishment.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. And that can be at any level, hey, whether it's properly just in front of family or in front of yourself, a recording you've made, just you and the camera, or, you know, perhaps you're brave enough to try an open mic or a performance, you know, in a pub. And that's where the buzz is as well, you know, the feeling of kind of, wow, just did that. That was me and it's a real natural euphoria. And as someone who seeked euphoria in very unnatural places, I can only say that nothing really beats the thrill of accomplishment, of having pulled it off.
That was a highlight of our chat with local musician Squidfacegirl. You're listening to The Arch on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain, and this is Clara with Where Is the Sky?
Said and walked away. How far is tomorrow? A new day. Can't stand being here, dancing on my own. I wish I could fix it all, to have those loves like we had before. So don't walk home, say no words no more. I can take you on the road tonight, where we can fly where is the sky, and we can be the fools. Oh, I can take you on the road tonight, where we can fly where is the sky, 'cause this is me and you. Oh, Now it's been months and weeks and days, yet in the distance I see your face. Cloudy sky will make a sunny day, and I want my partner in crime. I missed the one line to fit my rhyme, and you're the one who fits in just so fine. Oh, oh, oh. I can take you on the road tonight, where we can fly where is the sky, and we can be the fools. Oh, oh, oh. I can take you on the road tonight, where we can fly where is the sky, 'cause this is me and you. I can take you on the road tonight, where we can fly where is the sky. I can take you on the road tonight, where we can fly where is the sky, 'cause this is me and you. Oh, 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 and we can be the fools.
I can't believe we're finally alone. I can't believe I almost went home. What are the chances? Everyone's dancing and he's not with you. The universe must have divineness. What am I gonna do? Not grab your wrist. I could be a better boyfriend than him. I could do he never did. Up all night, I won't quit. Think I'm gonna steal you from him. I could be such a gentleman. Plus all my clothes would fit. A better boyfriend. Now I don't need to tell you twice all the ways he can't suffice. If I could give you some advice, I would leave with me tonight. Universe must have divineness. Ladies first, baby, I insist. I could be a better boyfriend than him. I could never did. Up all night, I won't quit. Think I'm gonna steal you from him. I could be such a gentleman. Plus all my clothes would fit. Ooh, I could be a better boyfriend. Plus all my clothes would fit. Now I never would have left you alone, here on your own, glued to your phone. Never would have left you alone for someone else to take you home. I could be a better boyfriend than him. I could do he never did. Up all night, I won't quit. Think I'm gonna steal you from him. I could be such a gentleman. Plus plus all my clothes would fit. I could be a better boyfriend than him. I could do he never did. Up all night, I won't quit. Think I'm gonna steal you from him. I could be such a gentleman, plus all my clothes would fit. And ooh, I could be a better boyfriend. Clothes would fit.
That was Boyfriend by Dove Cameron, an acoustic cover by Just Brind. Before that we had Where is the Sky by Clara. You're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host Dane Cobain, and it's time for us to head over to the Oak Shed now to catch up with Twangling Jack Ford for this week's album review.
A Roy Wood classic album box set with albums by Roy Wood, The Move, Wizard and the Electric Light Orchestra. It was Flowers in the Rain by The Move that was the first record ever played on Radio 1 when it launched in 1967. That is pub quiz knowledge. Roy Wood was the guitarist and songwriter in The Move. He also wrote Flowers in the Rain and I Can Hear the Grass Grow and a few other hits. They made 2 albums but fell apart as their records were selling less. The Move were from Birmingham, and Jeff Lynne from another Birmingham band called the Idle Race joined Roy Wood and the drummer Bev Baughan to make 2 more Move albums. That lineup got them back into the charts and onto Top of the Pops with some hit singles that included the brilliant 50s pastiche California Man. This set includes the last Move album that has a hint of contractual obligation about it, with 2 guys showing off all the things they could do and all the styles they could play in. The title track has a choir of overdubbed backing vocals that is similar to, but that predates 10cc's I'm Not in Love. Jeff Lynne had agreed to join the Move on the understanding that they would form a new band that would mix rock music and classical music. The second CD in this set is the first Electric Light Orchestra album. It sees them going in quite a proggy direction. It has the single 10538 Overture, which for me is the best thing either Wood or Lynne ever did. The rasping percussiveness of the descending cello lines fits perfectly in a rock setting, but anyone who had ever heard I Am the Walrus knew that already. It has a big jangly guitar and the high nasally lead vocals that both Wood and Lynne were prone to. It has big oohs and classically inspired inserts. It was very progressive for the early 70s and no indication that it would all lead to the Diary of Horace Wimp or Mr. Blue Sky. Roy Wood left ELO and made a series of singles with a Phil Spector wall of sound. Songs like Ballpark Incident, Angel Fingers, See My Baby Jive, and I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day, with a band he called Wizard. With the crazy hair and makeup and the jokey Top of the Pops appearances, they were very much a glam rock singles band, though they did make 1 album included on this set. Roy Wood also liked to take rock and roll riffs and make them as heavy as he could, like Little Richard meets Black Sabbath. In Wizard he would heavy up the riffs with cellos. On the album Wizard's Brew he expanded on those enhanced 50s and 60s ideas, with lengthy improvised passages that were very much of the time, and a sing-along number about having a cup of tea. Roy Wood's selling point was his ability to play all kinds of instruments, so things like bagpipes would inappropriately turn up. There is also a slow song with brass band instruments that goes through a cello and harp section to end with Abide With Me and eventually disappear in a flurry of woodwind. The set comes with 2 Roy Wood solo albums. One is a good collection of pop rock songs apart from the bits that sound like a Scots Dragoon Guards parade. The other CD in the set is one he recorded while working on Move, ELO and Wizard projects. On this one he plays all but one of the instruments. It is inventive, charming, eccentric, humorous and often entertaining. Jeff Lynne was originally the junior partner and Roy Wood was the pop star, but ultimately it was Lynne that had the most success. and some thought ELO were the new Beatles. Roy Wood played on, wrote and produced many big hits, but this 5 CD collection only contains one, 10538 Overture. Roy Wood Classic Album Collection.
Big thank you to Twangling Jack Ford for this week's album review. Thank you to everyone whose music I shared. Thank you to all of the guests whose highlights, clips we shared. As always, you can reach out to me here at the studio by dropping me an email on dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. That's dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. I'd love to hear from people who would like to be a guest on the show. You can also find us on Facebook. If you search for The Art Show on Wickham Sound, you should be able to find us. And we are repeated on Wickham Sound on Monday nights. We're on the Wickham Sound Listen Again, iTunes, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts. So I'm going to leave you with one last tune. This is Off Party with All To You. I'll catch you next week.